All right, so
Afternoon.
good afternoon.
Let's talk about the next 90 days.
6 months ago, we'd be talking about 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Today, we're talking about 90 days. So we're talking about what do we need to do as agents to be successful when the average time on the market for a listing is 90 days plus. And as I say this, I think at the same time, we're going to need to add, how do you manage working with a buyer for 90 days plus, which isn't as unusual, because a buyer can take that long. But I think because of the market or just the uncertainty of the market, we have a lot of buyers that are like, well, let's just take a minute.
Right.
So how do you manage that without losing that buyer? Let's start with the listing. Sorry, let's get back to our topic at hand.
I was ready to start with the buyer.
All right, let's do buyers.
Okay. First things first. Conversation I have with every single buyer on day one. Travis, you're going to get a call from me every single day until we find a property.
I think that's too much, Nestor.
Then we're done.
Oh.
So, and here is my point. Travis said that that's too much communication. I want you guys to put yourselves actually in the eye of the buyer. They want to hear from us often. Now, even if I don't have anything to tell you, I'm still checking in every single day.
What does that check-in look like?
That's what we're going to determine. If you just want a text message from me, hey, I've got no new updates, I'll check in tomorrow, perfectly fine. I'm happy to check in that way. If you want a phone call every single day about what's going on, I'm happy to do it that way. But we're going to communicate every single day. So you don't have to communicate back, but I'm going to communicate to you every single day. Now, if you're a true buyer, this is just an opinion, if you're a true buyer that's in the market right now, you're going to welcome that communication. Now, you may change as we are moving along into the 90 days of, hey, Nestor, take a day off. You don't need to talk to me tomorrow. But the fact that I am looking stuff up and working on your behalf every single day is going to bring you comfort that somebody's actually working.
This is true. This is true.
So that's always been a strategy that I've used. And here's the thing. I've never found a serious buyer that has said, that's too much.
Yeah.
They've always, really? And guess what? Nobody else is doing it. So if I want to compete with somebody else, they're going to have to call you twice a day.
Okay, so that's good, but let's talk about that buyer that said, whoa, they say you've been working pretty seriously with them for a month.
Okay.
And they're like, wow, this is getting a little crazy. The market's changing. Interest rates went up. You know what? We're so interested. If the right property, the right property comes up, we might be interested. But really, I think we're just going to settle back for a little bit and see how things go, because we feel like maybe they'll shift in our favor a little bit as we move forward here. How do you manage that relationship?
Goal setting 101. So if I'm goal setting with you and we're trying to figure out our business plan and what we're doing in a business plan for 2023 or whatever year it is, I always start with why. Why is it that you're looking to do these things? Because if I don't have a strong enough why, we're not even going to come close to achieving what we want. It's the same thing with the buyers, is finding out their why and what's important to them and what are the triggers in the very beginning. Once we know those triggers, it's just simply a reminder on a regular basis of this is why we're out here and this is what we're doing. So, hey, we're going to take a step back, and we feel like the market's doing this or we feel like that, and we want to take a step back. That's my opportunity and my time to go back and remind you of why we were out here to begin with and what it was that you were trying to achieve and why you were trying to achieve that. And then the question is did that change? Because if that changed, then yeah, we're out. We're taking a break. But if that didn't change, makes no sense to take a break.
If you can convince them of that.
Correct. Well, they need to convince themselves. I feel like it's our job to bring information so that they can have that. Here's what we're always looking for when we're having a conversation with somebody. I'm never looking to change somebody's mind. I'm looking for them to give me oh, that's right. Or, yeah, remember when you had told me you wanted to do this or blah, blah, blah. And I'm hoping to get that, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, honey, we were talking about this and that and blah, blah, blah.
That's right. I like that.
Yes. When you get the that's right, they change their own mind. You didn't change it for them. And that will stay that way. So I think too often we go to that. I look at this situation as it's a yellow light. Too often we speed through that thing instead of taking a step back and trying to address it. Because if we address it, what's addressing it? Slowing down, looking at the whole situation, and putting some thought into it and making a good decision versus let's speed through there and hope nobody's coming the other direction and we get sideswiped and then the whole thing is over.
So if you got that buyer, you're working them all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
Leading them to their realization of what their why was.
Absolutely.
Moving forward. That's good. I like that. I had another thought in my head, but I lost it. So I'm just going to acknowledge what you said and say it's good.
Well, thank you. Are we going to the seller now?
Let's go to the seller.
Okay.
No.
Seller. So I find it interesting. I don't know. I struggle less with talking to agents about what their 90-day plan is, or 4-month plan or 6-month plan with regard to a listing, because as crazy as this might sound, before this market changed to this, you just got to prep it for 1 week. I had spent like 4 months putting together like this 16-week marketing program that I was going to be bringing to the agents to promote to them, and the market changed so darn quick. I never got an opportunity to present it. So when we had this shift, honestly just went into my computer and dusted the thing off and looked at it and made some simple modifications to it. But I think that the big number one is, do you have a plan? Do you have a plan in place, and is this plan broken down week by week, day by day of exactly what you're going to be doing? And then it's just as simple as sharing that plan with your seller. Seller, this is our plan, this is what it looks like, this is what we're going to do, and every single week, Travis, this is how it's going to look, this is our plan for this week. And on Friday, I'm going to forward you over the plan, and I'm going to show you the results. Here's my scoreboard on what I did. I said we were going to do this, 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 and this. Here's what we did. Here's the scoreboard. These are the results, whatever it may be. And along with that, I'm going to forward you week 2 of what our plan is, and that's how we're going to go for the next 16 weeks. And if you have any questions in the meantime, and obviously, this isn't set in stone. We make adjustments. Because if the market tells us we need to adjust something somewhere, we'll know, because we're going to keep a scoreboard on it. That's my plan.
Solid.
Yeah.
I think that it's not I don't think it's a whole lot different than if you're going to have a listing for a week or 16 weeks.
Correct.
I think that you have to have that solid plan, basically everything that you just described. But I think what's important when we get into the longer time frame is that in the beginning, you set expectations.
Absolutely.
Hey, here's what's going on. Let me lay out the field for you, show you exactly what things look like, so there's no surprises down the road and you telling me, well, we didn't realize that. Nope, we're gonna get that clear right now.
Right.
Where we're at, here's who I am, here's what I'm gonna do, then you get it in motion. The next one's communication. You've got to consistently be communicating.
Number one complaint we hear.
Yeah.
Failure to communicate.
And don't make it a secret.
Right.
Ask the person, hey, how do you like to communicate? How would you like me to communicate with you? Well, I really prefer text because of my job and things. That's the easiest way. Fantastic. I usually follow up, or you might even want to tell them,
right?
Because if you want to follow up with all your clients at the same time. So why don't we do it through text? And I like to follow up every Tuesday morning. That way I can get you a review of what happened over each weekend. It's typically the busiest time for listings during the week. And then I can get you an idea of what's going on in this coming week. Third is, man, you've got to keep the motivation, the attitude up, way up, because that's what's going to grind on the seller the quickest.
Correct.
Every week, even if they go into it explaining to you, I fully understand this is going to be a 90-day process on average. It could be more than that. When you get to day 45, if you haven't been working it and putting some positivity into it, it's going to be a much bigger job dealing with that seller than if you said, hey, it's all right, let's do this. Look what's going on. Here's what we're doing. Keep that motivation up.
And I'll piggyback on that. The positivity doesn't necessarily always have to be the calling and the rah-rah and things like that. It's really the little things. The little things when we're talking about an extended period of time make all the difference in the world. hey Travis, it's day 45 and I know another open house, but this week on the plan is it's movie night for you and the family. So we're sending you and the family out to, this is all part of the plan that goes in there. Maybe it's pizza night out or something like that, or you're creating activities for the family or whoever your clients are so that you're keeping them engaged in what's going on and looking forward. They're not looking forward to the open house because you're doing another open house or open selling. They're looking forward to the open house or that weekend because what surprise is Nestor going to give me this week that we're going to go do, honey? Right? So you want to keep those things going. And I had another thought and I completely lost it, so maybe it'll come back. It was on something else you had said earlier. I lost it. Hopefully it comes back.
That was me with the buyers, so it's okay.
All right, but yeah, have that plan. Oh, that's what it was. It was with regard to the communications. Communication is key, and too often or not, we both hear it, that the number one thing that upsets a client is lack of communication.
Absolutely.
You know, NAR does a study every single year, and the results come out same every single year. Well, what were you most upset about? They didn't communicate with me enough. Why didn't you go back to the same agent? Can't find them, or they didn't communicate with me enough. Same answer. That should be one of your primary 1 or 2 questions on your listing appointment. You mentioned it. You know, it's not how I want to communicate, it's how would you like me to communicate. Do you prefer phone calls? Do you prefer text messages? Do you prefer emails? And remember, if there's more than one person in that room and it's a husband and wife, don't make the assumption that they're the same. You have to address everybody. What do you prefer? What does the other party prefer? And that's how you have to communicate with them. Because if you miss that, here's what it translates to. They never communicated with me.
Yep.
That's exactly what it translates. I texted them every single week. They don't text. You never communicated.
You didn't see my emails? Oh, you were sending me emails?
Exactly. You never
They're
communicated.
in the spam.
So that's what I had.
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
I think that was the whole gist of this, is that earlier this year, the first half of this year, there wasn't a whole lot of prep people had to do.
Correct.
They should have been doing it. We should always do it, because that builds those relationships for not only getting through that transaction, but for referrals and for future business and just for the professional impression of your services.
Yep.
And how they pass out to other people.
That's exactly what we talked about when this market was going well. We were talking, because there were too many agents out there. Quick picture of the front of the house and boom, it's going to sell in the first week anyway. I'm not going to do any marketing. And both of us were preaching to everybody, this is when you polish your game. You know, this is when you're still spending the money for the professional photography, making sure that you're doing everything because you're developing and building your portfolio for when you need it.
That's right.
You know, right now, for all of those that didn't do it, when they go to that listing appointment right now, they don't have it. Here are the pictures from my last 4 listings. Nice iPhone pictures, all shot vertical, that are sitting there in the MLS with, you know, toilet seats up, et cetera, et cetera. And the other thing that is important to understand, our mindset wasn't, hey, it's easy to sell a house right now so we don't have to do a lot. The mindset was really, the more we do right now, the more they will get. The more eyeballs they'll get on that property, the more opportunities they will have, which will translate to more dollars in their pocket. And a lot of agents didn't have that thought process.
Yeah.
And that's where they were missing the boat there.
Make their jobs harder here as we move forward.
Yep.
They're saying, boy, I wish I had. God, I got to get that listing so I can do this stuff, as opposed to having a little backlog already from all your other listings.
Well,
hugely important.
Failure in this industry, woulda, coulda, shoulda. So, but it is never too late. It is not too late to make a change. We always have to put the work in, you know. Got to change the oil at some point. Pay me now or pay me later. Mechanic will tell you. So, right? Okay. Don't change that oil ever. You'll pay me at some point.
Bigger bill.
Exactly. So, anyway.
Well, I think it goes back to what you started this whole thing with, is it is very difficult to over communicate. It is way too easy to under communicate.
Correct.
So think about that next time you think, should I contact my client? should I spend the time
Yes.
to find some content to provide to my client? The answer is yes.
I'd love to hear a comment that somebody says, my client called me up and told me I call them too much, or I email them too much.
Prove us
Or,
wrong. Come
yes,
on.
I text them too much. I'd love to hear that. And I would say kudos to you and congratulations, because you're doing something right if that client's actually reaching out to you and saying, hey, it's too much.
I've talked about this in a video a long time ago as a sports agent. And I love the guy because he had 2 cell phones and he had his clients, and one of his clients, right, was a running back or some sports guy. He's like talking about the sports agent. He says, yeah, my girlfriend always says, you're talking to your agent more than you're talking to me. And it just struck me and I thought, that's it right there.
Yep.
That guy has got it nailed.
That's right.
And he just kind of giggled. That guy couldn't have been communicating any less than anyone I've ever seen in my life. So that was the most amount of communication there could be.
Absolutely.
And nobody said a word. They just laughed about it a little bit. He was being paid so much attention to, and not the wife or
That's
the
what we
girlfriend.
want.
Exactly.
That's what we want. So, hey, by the way, this works at home too. So, anyway, if you like what you hear, like or subscribe.
Or comment, please.
Or comment, absolutely.
We do respond to our comments.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much. And until next time.
Yes. Hang in there.